Hey, so you wanted to get a large volume resin printer. You wanted to go massive. You got yourself a Peopoly Phenom, and the thing is great. But like any other printer, it's going to need maintenance. Part of that is changing out the LCD panel. Now the panels are rated for 400 hours worth of use. After that, they'll break down and they'll degrade and they need to be swapped out. Now, you can think that it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, but actually it isn't. I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, so 1 second. Okay, so as I mentioned, the LCD on this is rated for 400 hours. Now what you can do is after you get done with your prints, it will tell you how long the print took. And what you can do is get a little scrap of paper, write it on here, and just have it right next to your printer, so then that way you can keep an eye on it. Some ways you can figure out if your LCD is starting to fade. You can go into the settings and then calibrate. If your LCD is starting to fade, it's going to look something like this. So to get started, what you want to do is you want to unplug the power cable and the USB. What I also do is I take off the front door, because you have to sit there and move this printer around to get to the back panel and the underneath panel, and you don't want it popping open or anything else like that, because the printer is sturdy, but this front acrylic panel really isn't designed to take a beating at all. So to be on the safe side, I personally take it off. If you're going to do that, you want your 3mm Allen wrench. You're going to take out the 6 bolts on the side. Now what you also want to do is you want to remove the vat and the build plate for 2 reasons. First off, you're moving it around, you don't want those things to slip. Maybe the build plate falls and damages your vat and or LCD. Plus it makes it a little bit easier to move. So there's 2 panels that we need to remove. First one is on the back. This is held on by a total of 6 bolts, so you're going to need a 2.5mm Allen wrench, and what you want is a small container so you can put your bolts into so you don't lose them. So it's pretty simple. You just take off these 6. Now when you get to the last one, you want to just keep your hand up on the vent just so it doesn't shift and possibly bend at all. Once you have all 6 out, just pop this off, and that's the back panel. Now there's going to be, the LCD is going to be up here, and there's a cable that goes up to the back that we're going to get to from the other side. For the underneath panel, there's a total of 8 bolts. 4 of them are here, 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 and here, and the other 4 are underneath the feet. So what you want to do is, after you take this off, you want to be careful when you're moving the printer around, because if you have a wood surface or something else, it's going to scratch it up. And you just pop this off. Now this cable here, that's right here. That's where your LCD plugs into. So what you want to do is, while you're at this stage, you want to carefully peel back this foam covering and put it someplace safe. After you get that little foam cover off, there's going to be a little tiny clip up here. What you do is you try to grab it with the corner of your fingernail and you slide it down to unleash it. And then you just carefully pinch the wire between 2 fingers and pull it down. That will have it disconnected from the board itself, so in the next step it's going to be a lot easier. Now for this part, you're going to put the printer back up, and what we're going to do is remove the tape that's along the edges of the LCD. Now for this part I had to retape it just so I could show it off a little bit better, so the tape job is going to look a lot better on yours than it does on mine. So it's very simple. You just, go for a corner, peel back the tape so all 4 sides are exposed. And it should look like this now. Now for this next part, what you want to do is you want to reach from behind where we took out that back panel and put your fingers up so you can feel the glass, which is not easy to do on camera. And then you're going to push up and grab the back of it and just slide that out. Once that's done, you want to just take some IPA alcohol and just spray down the top of it just to make sure that it's clean and the tape adhesive is gone. And you also want to check the inside to make sure there's no residue or debris or anything else in the LED array, but you want to be careful with it not to bang it around. So now that we have the LCD panel out, we need to get to this cable here. So you have to remove this tape here, and there's a tape covering as well. Now since this one is the one that we're replacing, we have to be too concerned with it as far as, you know, dinging it up or anything else. So you can use a X-Acto knife or a utility knife here to help you out, but you want to be very careful around this cable that you don't want to cut any of the small wires, okay? So what you can just do is carefully cut it away and start to lift up on it. And if you get to this point here next to the cables, what you can do is put your finger on it to help secure it so you don't accidentally pull these very fine wires that are here. Flip it over. Get to that cable side of it, finger down. And you carefully want to pull the rest of the tape off of this. Now when you have the cable exposed, it's just like the other side on the board on the printer, except there's no little clip here, but you can always check just in case the design has changed. You'll be able to see a little wire there, but there is none. So you just carefully wiggle it and pull it, and there you go. Now that we have the wire removed from the LCD, we can dispose of this. We'd want to contact your local municipality, see if there's any special rules or regulations as far as disposing of an LCD monitor. There's no mercury in it or anything else like that, but still you want to make sure that you're disposing these safely according to your local laws and regulations. So now we have our replacement LCD. Now for this next part, you don't have to use gloves, but it's strongly recommended. I use the black nitrile just because they're a little bit thicker and the grip is a little bit better on them. And so this helps keep any type of oil from your fingers or dirt or anything else from the screen. Plus you have to admit they do look pretty cool. Alright, so you just want to be a little bit careful when opening this up, because if not, you're going to be stuck doing another repair job. What you can do is, with this plastic, you can lay this on here, and what you're going to notice is on the back side of it, you're going to see something that looks like bubbles, but even if you put your fingers on there, you can't even feel them, and if they were air bubbles, you could try to slide them up, but they're not. But it's okay, it's part of the process of what they do to prepare these LCDs, so this is normal. And as you can see here, the tape is still there, and there should be a little spot here that we can remove so we can plug the cable back in. And again, you just want to be careful not to damage anything. Okay. So now that we have that here, you can see that the port is opened. Okay, see if I can zoom this in a little bit. Of course, the focus is going to go crazy. Okay, so that's the port there. On this side of the cable that connects to the LCD, there is a thin red line. You want that to the right. Okay, you want that thin red line to the right when you're installing it, so you know you're doing it the right way. So you line it up and you just carefully guide it in there, and you can just use your nails and just slide it in there so it's nice and snug. So it's on the right, on the back of the LCD. To tape it down, you want to use this, we're going to use the same tape all around, and for me, what I use gaffer's tape because it releases a lot cleaner, and there's really little to no light that will get through this. You can use other forms of tape, but if you use cheap electrical tape, what will happen is, especially if you tape around the sides of the LCD, that tape is going to be exposed to the UV lights, and what will happen is it could deteriorate very quickly. So you want to make sure that you don't have to go out and buy a $20 roll of tape, but you want to get something that's good. And for me, I would personally recommend gaffer's tape. This is when it gets fun with the gloves on, because it's going to be as near possible. So, handy dandy utility knife. What we're doing is we're taping this down so this connection is nice and stable and firm. It's not going to pop out. So you can put it down. You want to line it up with the rest of the tape there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be over that connector. Alright, so you press it down. Make sure you don't get the plastics and you'll be fighting to get it off. And then you can fold this bit down. And then go on the other side. And what you could do is with your knife, make a small little cut in there. But just, if you're going to do it, cut away from the board. And again, be careful of the thin wires. So that way they can just fold down more. More again. And then another little bit of tape. Press it down. And what you can do now is just use the scissors to make some cuts so you can wrap it around there so it's nice and secure. And that is all to it. Now for this, there's a thin plastic covering on the top. As you can see here, it has some air bubbles. So I'm going to remove that, but first I'm going to put it back into the printer. And I want to leave this on there just in case if something falls and it scratches it or anything else. I'm going to take it off at the very last before I tape it all down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the LCD back in, and once you have this out, you're going to notice that there's a little space back here. That's for this part of the LCD, where that black tape is and the cable, so it's nice and flexible. So make sure to feed the cable back there, and you're just going to slide it in and carefully lower it down. You don't want to drop it just in case if it breaks. So gently press it down. And what you want to do is you want to get some couple small bits of tape here, and you're going to tape it down just to hold it in place so we can go underneath, because we have to put that cable back in and power it on, because we need the LCD calibration test. So it gives you that rectangle so you know where to put the tape, so you don't put it too far over and then you're going to cut off your build volume and it's going to look really strange. So again, just enough to hold it in place is all that's needed. And if you want to, what I would suggest is do it from the back two corners, because you have that black tape that's already there. So if you go to pull it off, you're not going to mess up anything. Okay? And yes, I know me saying okay is my verbal crutch, so I don't want to hear it. So now we have to flip it over and plug that cable back in. And while we're here, again, this is the back panel, this is the cable that we just put in, and just make sure that it's not hung up anywhere, so when you go to flip it over, it's not going to catch on something and you have a hard time trying to get it out of there. Okay, so just slide it on under. Now that we have the printer on its back again, we're going to put this cable back in to the board here. So with here you have the thin red lines. You want it to the right of the board, because if you try it to the other side with some of these, they just won't fit at all. They won't line up. So you want to make sure that the cable, the red wires, are on the right of the board. And you just carefully guide it in there, give it a good push, and then you take that locking clip and you push it back, and you hear a very slight click, and that's it. So now we get to push this back up, and be careful again, no feet, so it can scratch things. Now I have the printer standing back up. So I have the power supply plugged into it, and what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it on, and we're going to go to the calibration menu so we can see the LED array so we know where to put the tape. Now, for those of you who already have a Phenom, you know it's going to be loud, so I will try my best to make sure that you can hear me. If not, I'll cut the audio out and I'll use subtitles. So we just turned it on, and the screen comes on. Now to get to the calibration menu, you want to go to the Tools, then Calibrate, and then you can hit Next. So what it will do is it will put a rectangle on the LCD. Let's go to Next. So what you can do now is you can see the LED array. And what you want to do is you want to get your tape and put it on the very edge so you're not blocking the LEDs. Because if you can see right here, for example, I mean, this one's definitely over. These two back ones are safe. All right. So what you want to try to do is get in there, and you have to put your head down and to see where the LEDs stop. As you can see the final row there, so we know where to put our tape. About a 1-inch wide tape. We want half LCD and the other half securing it. If you had an LCD like mine where that protective film had some bubbles, now would be the time when you would remove it. So we'll start with here. So that's removed, and you want to be careful now because this can be very easily scratched. And we're going to take out the strips that I used to hold it in place. Now, to make it a little bit easier for you, what you can do is you can cut two 12-inch strips for the front and back. And again, you want to make sure that you're not covering the LED array at all. And get it nice and even. And then press it down. So there's a good, strong bond, and it's not letting any light through. If you happen to get it a little bit crooked, it's okay, because then when, for example, right there, when you're putting the other sides down, you can kind of compensate for that a little bit. The back one's a little bit easier because you can use that existing black strip there as your guide to cover up that back slot, so again, no light bleeds through. Now for the sides, and get it right up to the edge. of the LCD. And trying to do this again with gloves on with tape makes it all the more fun. Now, if that happens, it just means that the timer ran out, so you can go back to calibrate and next. Give it a second, and you're right back. And see, what you want to do is make sure you're covering up the sides so you're not, it's going to secure it, and you're going to make sure that no light is bleeding through that can affect your print. And one other thing I like about gaffer's tape is when you put the VAT on, it kind of slides a little bit easier on the gaffer's tape than, say, electrical tape. So you're not getting caught there. Now what you could do is if you have some tape that's hanging over here or over there, you can use a utility knife and trim it off. But surprisingly, I got it pretty good. So, and again, you just want to make sure that none of the tape is blocking the LED array at all, because it's at this point it's easy to fix. Later on it gets more difficult. So other than that, right now it is installed, it's working. So the only thing that's left to do is to flip it all around and to put the panels back on. Now that we have the back panel and the lower panel back on, the doors back on, what you want to do now is re-level the bed. That's covered in the quick setup guide, and I'll provide the links down below. Once you have that all re-leveled, and you'll be all set, because now you can sit there and get back to the things you want to do with this bad boy. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is very helpful. If there's any other questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and other than that, enjoy your printer. My name's Shane.